Ukraine's Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant was forced to rely on emergency diesel generators for several hours yesterday after the power went out. It's back on now, but the UN's nuclear agency warns the safety situation remains extremely precarious. The plant lies on the front line of the war with Russia, and Ukraine says Russian shelling damaged the lines. The news comes as Kyiv was recovering from the latest Russian air onslaught. Ukrainian officials reported 11 missiles and more than 500 drones were launched. One person was killed and 23 injured. The attacks damaged 40 apartment blocks and 5 schools. And they came just hours after a phone call between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. Trump also spoke with Ukraine's president after the attack, reportedly agreeing to cooperate in strengthening the country's air defenses. For more on this, we've reached Daniel Bilak. He is a Canadian-Ukrainian lawyer, and he's also a member of the Territorial Defense Forces. Today, we are not disclosing his location for security reasons. Daniel, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us this morning.
Great to be here.
Let's start with that discussion between the two leaders on that U.S.-led effort to end the war with Russia and the importance of the timing of the phone call in this conflict. What's your take on that?
Well, I think that it's starting to dawn on President Trump that he's being played. He's being made to look weak by President Putin, and that he's being made to look actually foolish. He's, in his own words, he's being tapped along by Putin. I mean, it's obviously clear that Putin has no interest whatsoever in stopping this war. He thinks he's winning. He thinks he can outlast Western aid and Western resilience and support for Ukraine. He thinks that he can just drag this on. He doesn't care how many people he loses. Human life has no meaning to him in any way anyway. So I think that President Trump doesn't like to be made to look weak, and hopefully at this point we will get serious about not talking about stopping shipments of weapons and defensive missiles to Ukraine, but to ramping them up.
You talk about the optics for President Donald Trump. How much sway, in your opinion, does he realistically have on ending this conflict, potentially, again, looking at the timing of this, and just knowing there was that record amount of drone and missile strikes over that region? At this point, what can he really do?
Look, there is no peace for Ukraine right now that doesn't leave Ukraine in pieces. And what we really need, everybody needs to understand, all of our allies need to understand clearly that the only way that you can bring this war to a successful conclusion with real meaningful peace in Europe is to defeat the Russian army in Ukraine. I mean, we are in this situation right now, Marianne, because largely our allies, for whom we're deeply grateful for all the support that we do get, but our allies have largely enabled Putin to ramp up, produce drones on a mass scale. They've given him lots of space. We weren't given long-range missiles back last year when we really could have done some serious damage to the Russians because everybody was afraid of escalation. I mean, it didn't seem to prevent escalation from happening. I mean, this is the problem with appeasement. If you keep appeasing the bully, the dictator, he's just going to double down and ask for more and take more. We need to have our allies. They're now starting to realize, Europe is starting to realize, thanks to President Trump in a backhanded sort of way, that they have to take much more responsibility for their own security. And we are the front line of that security. We are the eastern shield of European security today. And everybody is starting to finally dawn after 4 years that is starting to dawn on them that if Ukraine falls, they're going to be next. And there's now no guarantee and no serious assumption that an Article 5 NATO situation would have the United States come in full bore and protect people. The Article 5 says each country will do what it can to support the other country. And that doesn't necessarily mean military aid. And that's not a guarantee anymore. And so the Europeans are starting to panic. We've seen massive increases or announcements of increases in military spending. But Ukraine has to be the front line, the front and center of that process. And Ukraine needs to be integrated into the European security architecture. We have a 1 million-person army. It's larger than the next 4 armies of Europe put together. And so, it's going to be extremely difficult for us if the United States isn't there. We're hoping now that President Trump has tried to get Putin to the table, that he's starting to realize that's not going to happen, and perhaps we can get back to protecting the lives of Ukrainians and defeating the Russian army in Ukraine.
Finally, I just want to ask you, we don't have a lot of time left, but realistically, how much longer can Ukraine continue to bear the brunt of these Russian assaults?
Marianne, we will throw stones at them if we have to. I mean, we understand clearly that every inch of land, every village that gets taken by the Russians, it means the people that left in those villages are reduced to a life of slavery and slaughter if they continue to act as Ukrainians and not as Russians. The thing is that there aren't many people left in many of these places. Russia just levels everything. It destroys everything in its path before it advances. And so we are fighting an existential battle here. We have nowhere to go. We have to fight to the end. We are producing and we are standing up our own defense industrial base, and we've been very successful in taking out a lot of the infrastructure, military infrastructure inside Russia, and now we're moving deeper and deeper into Russia. Now, we've taken out 20% of Russia's oil refining capacity overall, and so we are going to continue to fight back. We are developing our own weapons. We are probably the leading country in the world in military technology right now. I mean, basically, as somebody said, if you're in defense technology and you're not, and you're innovating and developing in that sector, and you're not in Ukraine, you're just guessing, because your kit needs to be battle proven in Ukraine, and that's what's happening now. And both in terms of electronic warfare, interceptors, long range missiles, FPV drones, loitering munitions. We're innovating, but we need the help of our allies to ramp that up. We need to scale it, because Russia's a big place.
Daniel Bilak,
and they need to be hit.
Daniel Bilak, Canadian-Ukrainian lawyer, thank you so much for your time and your insight, as always.
Thank you. God bless the people of Canada. Thanks for your support.